तो हम जा सकते हैं। इसके अलावा ये सिस्टम के अंदर वो कोई भी ऑथराइज्ड मेडिकल अटेंड कोई मतलब एक डॉक्टर को अपनी प्राइवेट क्लिनिक में देख पाएगा, दिखा पाएगा और उसका प्रिस्क्रिप्शन के अनुसार मेडिसिन परचेज कर सकते थे और उस मेडिसिन इलाज हो सकते थे। दिन चला
ഒരാളാണ് ഇതിന് പകരം വന്നേക്കുന്നത്. അച്ഛയുടെ സമയത്തിൽ ഡബിൾ ക്ലിക്ക് ചെയ്താൽ ഇവിടെ വരും.
19 Comrade, whoever is using the mic, kindly kindly mute it because it gets a disturbance. The whole thought process goes into difficulty. Comrade KR, I am still having that difficulty.
I am trying to search the lady voice. Some lady voice is hearing. If I unmute all, if I mute your mic and your Comrade Kutti's mic also will be get muted. Kindly, Comrade Kutti, I will mute all. You will release it. Comrade Kutti, you kindly unmute your mic. Comrade Kutti, kindly unmute your mic.
Whatever.
Yeah. Now you can proceed.
Okay. So sorry for the disturbance, comrade. That also disturbed me. So the system for the civil servants was a little different from what has been provided to the private and public sector workers in the form of ESI. As you know, in the case of military, they had their own system of medical care. They had their own hospitals, clinics, dispensaries, so on and so forth. In the case of railways, they started a system of such on the lines of the military. They also started a healthcare system for their workers. Because you know that the number of workers that was employed by the railways was far greater than any other organization under the government of India. In the case of defense, when the armed forces personnel were actually segregated, what was left was only the civilian employees of the defense establishment.
Comrade Kutti, you can be a bit louder.
Hey, you wanted me to be a bit louder?
Yeah.
Okay. So naturally, the reimbursement system was actually provided for the civil servants. That means the almost all of the central government employees, barring the defense, barring the railway employees or railway pensioners and the military personnel and the private and public sector workers. So this medical system was going on very well. The reimbursement was a system in which people were not very unhappy. But it has created a situation by virtue of which that when it started actually organizing, the government perhaps in the beginning of 1950s or by the end of 1950s found it extremely costly insofar as the outflow of the finances on medical expenditure for the civil servants of the country was going into an unbearable situation. The government thought that what shall be done? Can we not introduce a system on the same lines as that was provided to the public and private sector workers, that is in the same system as that of the ESI, in a modified form. That's how the central government health scheme came into existence in 1954. When it was first introduced, it was introduced only in the city of Delhi. Again, primarily because of the reason that again, because of the reason that the city of Delhi, or for that matter, the Delhi state was having the largest number of central government employees as a city. That was the position in 1954, and that continues to be the position even today. In this background of the situation, they started the central government health scheme there. It was to provide primarily the OPD treatment, the outpatient department, where medicines to be dispensed, dispensaries will be opened, and the concerned individual or concerned employee on the basis of an identity card can go to there, get consulted with the doctor, and get the scheme operated. It went on for some time. Then naturally, for that matter, the request came from many other cities. When they found that the experiment which was gaining importance, they found that it is very necessary that it should be extended to other parts of the country. Accordingly, the demand for extending to the other parts of the country, other bigger cities, where large conglomeration of central government employees reside, like Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai.
नहीं बढ़ाया जब से कोरोना लगा ना कर्मचारियों की तनख्वाह नहीं बढ़ा रोक दिया हमारे खड़े बच्चे
It is difficult, comrade, if this is the way in which things are going on.
तो ना ही कर दिया फिर से मैं खेल लूं
We are not able to detect that person who is having the mic and who is kept it open.
I think he is K. Vijay Kumar, if I am correct. K. Vijay Kumar.
If you got his
telephone number, I'm able to see his name when he is talking.
K. Vijay Kumar is muted. He is not disturbing.
Okay.
Okay, you can proceed.
Okay.
I am removing those who have not put their mic muted position. I am removing them to waiting room. You can proceed, Comrade Kakan.
Okay. I'll try my level best. So the situation got into a position in 1954 and later, and for nearly 24 years, in fact, for 25 years, the system went on functioning in Delhi, and slowly it was got extended to the other cities of the country, the bigger cities, the metro cities like Mumbai, Chennai, etc., etc. But a lot of importance was given to the national capital territory of national capital territory, which includes the neighboring places in Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, and Rajasthan. Today, when we look at it, we will find that there are more than 12 dispensaries, 12 stations, not dispensaries. The dispensaries are number is quite large. There are nearly 12 centers in Delhi alone where the CGHS is functioning. And NCR, that is capital territory of the capital region of Delhi, includes Faridabad, Ghaziabad, Gurgaon, etc. So naturally, the point at issue was that the CGHS started picking up momentum. not only it picked up momentum in so far as dispensing with the, in so far as attending to the healthcare needs of the central government employees were concerned. Slowly, it was actually extended to certain other institutions also, like the autonomous bodies or some of the public sector units of the Government of India. And more importantly, it was extended to the members of parliament, the governors, lieutenant governors, so on and so forth. It actually worked. It started working very well. People were a little happy during those periods of time. But when the volume of work started coming, and when the government's outflow on this account started going more and more, then naturally, the finance issue became a very hot subject for discussion. And because of the non-availability of finances, it started deteriorating in its quality. Before I go into those matters, how it has come and then what has been done afterwards, let me tell you one simple thing from the present day context. The present day context today, you know that every state government is also, because actually the healthcare of the people is not a central subject, it is a state subject. There are hospitals, there are dispensaries, there are primary health centers, community health centers, and many other chains of healthcare facilities that has been got up in the post-independent era in so many provinces, depending upon their outlook insofar as this matter is concerned. So by 1990, almost about 50 years after our independence, we found that our country had a fairly, wonderful, but I say position, but a fairly good position insofar as public health care was concerned. We should also know that curative treatment of the diseases as and when it occurs is only one way of healthcare. That's not the most important healthcare. The most important healthcare is how to prevent the diseases coming at all. And if it is individual specific or micro-specific diseases, there is no problem. It is not going to affect the society as a whole. But when it becomes a pandemic or an epidemic, like that in the early days we had in smallpox or vaccine or malaria or typhoid or tuberculosis or whatever it is, this actually affects the whole of the society. So eradication of the very cause of this epidemic became one of the most important ingredient of healthcare package. That's why the government, especially the provincial government, had to give a lot of importance to such type of, and most of the money, that is whatever money that was allocated, which could be allocated as per the budget proposals of the Government of India, most of them were utilized for the purpose of preventing the pandemic or epidemic going into a higher proportion. What happened today? Today we are in the midst of a pandemic. Many of our comrades who are our colleagues and comrades in arms, when we have this movement, and even today when we are having this pensioners organization, when they were with us, we find that many of them are not today with us. Because every day I have got a many number of WhatsApp groups of pensioners in my telephone. Sometimes I am very much shuddering to think of opening the WhatsApp, because in every group I find that the messages of one or two of our dear comrades passing away from us because of this pandemic of COVID-19. Not only that, Even a small disease, even a small problem, when it affects us today, if I have got a stomachache, if I have got a headache, if I have got a small fever, if I have got any other things, very small, the whole trivial things which we used to never care in our life, today it becomes an important thing for us to be concerned about it, because we don't know what are all the symptoms of the real pandemic of COVID-19 is. It's generational changes, it's genetic changes that is very fastly taking place. And we are not able to combat that situation. Even after so many years of building up an infrastructure that is required for providing health care to our society. So one reason which has been told, which has been not only told, but which has been very vehemently expressed by the people who are knowledgeable in the field is that the effort we have done to discard all this system or give least importance to that right from 1991 onwards. Because you know, in our country's whole history, the post-independent history of our country, when we look at it, we can divide the country's history into three parts without any difficulty today. One is the pre-1991 period and another is the post-1990. The post-1991 period, today we are in 1991, 2001, and then 2011, then 2021. These 3-4 decades, we have dismantled very many good public institutions which we had built up, which we have built up with a particular objective, with a particular plan. We decided that the market will take care of all requirements of the people at large, and they will do everything that is required to be done. I'm not today going into the, what I say, aspect whether it is right, good, bad, or ugly, or whether it is sustainable. All those things I'm not. But the fact today remains that wherever these public institutions were strong enough, or its remnants were strong enough. I don't say that public institutions had been strongly continuing, but some of the remnants were there in some of the provinces, some of the states. You must have seen there the public at large, they have suffered in pandemic. There is no exception at all. But they could be looked after to some extent. I'm not saying it to a great extent, to some extent. So the need for a public institution, public care, especially for preventing diseases and illness, is an important requirement of every society. So this is this particular aspect of our discussion. We are not today subjecting that matter for discussion. We will have to have it for some other occasion, or in some other field, or in some other platform. Today, we will concentrate only on curative medicinal system, the remedial measures which we are to take when we are caught up with certain amount of difficulties, certain diseases. So remedial diseases is only to give medicines. So what are all the ingredients of those things? You should have a doctor to diagnose your disease. You should have a laboratory, or you should have instruments, you should have equipments. If the doctor cannot look at it and see from his experience or from what you see, then he will have to use that equipments to ensure that what you are suffering from. And then after diagnosing, he has to give the medicines. So there will have to be medicinal system. Then how to give these medicines? It should have a dispensary. Then once the medicine is given, whether he has been cured or whether he could get the curative effect of that, impact of that, this is the next step. Now, sometimes all those things will fail. Then he would require nursing, hospitalization, a better critical treatment. So it has to be decided whether he has to be sent to a hospital. So you should have certain other facilities. A hospital is the requirement. So these are all the ingredients of our curative medical system which we have got today, which we should have, because we are not talking about the preventive medicinal system as at the moment. Now, whether CGHS is serving the purpose for all these things, that's more important. CGHS, as we know very well, because some of us used to say in the 1950s or 60s or 70s, it was catering only to a very minor number of people. Therefore, it didn't come into the horizon of discussions in such a large area of concern. It became, so for up to 1980, I can tell you, there had been absolutely no review of the functioning of the CGHS, which came into existence in 1950. So this 1980-81, who did this review? It was actually a parliamentary committee or the estimates committee of the 7th Lok Sabha, which went into this matter of the very functioning of the CGHS as an institution from all its gamut and from all viewpoints. I'm sure that anybody, any student who wanted to read that the development of CGHS in our country, he should look at it, this first report that has been made out by the Estimates Committee of the Parliament of the 7th Lok Sabha, which was submitted to the Parliament on 22nd of March 1981. That report, I have gone through that report. I feel that today in our discussion, certain salient features of that report is very much required to be presented before you. So I do not know whether time will permit to go into every aspect about it. Because those skills which they have detected at that particular point of time, those difficulties and deficiencies which they have pointed it out in that report, all those illnesses are actually persisting even today. Many of them, I'm not saying every one of them, but many of them are persisting even today. So naturally, if you go into that matter, if you go what they have suggested, what are the remedial measures which they have suggested to overcome that difficulty, will be of great importance to many of us today, especially those in the organization or those who are leading the organization, because those remedial measures will bring about the CGHS in a much better position and much better functioning institution and much better catering to the requirement of the civil servants, especially the employees, and more with the pensioners. Let me take some of those issues for your consideration, because I feel that is very, 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 very important from our point of view. See, this report was actually penned by Mr. SBB Pattabhi Ramarao, was actually the chairman of the Estimates Committee of the 7th Lok Sabha. There were very eminent parliamentarians in that committee. There were quite a number of people, if I remember correct, 30 or 31 people were there, 31 parliamentarians were there. But some of the names which were famous even those days, they were there in this particular team. Some of them were Kumbharam Arya, his name is very known to many people, Santosh Mohan Dev, M.M. Lawrence, Naval Kishore Sharma, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, he became our president of our country. Veerabhadra Singh became the chief minister of Himachal Pradesh. Veerabhadra Singh is Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Subramanya Swamy, and many others were there actually in this particular team. There, what were the observation and recommendations that they have made? We can go into very briefly about what they said. Generally, they made certain observations. For each and every aspect of the functioning of the CGHS, they have gone very minutely. General, their observation was that first they say that this institution has no feedback system. Nobody is allowed to make a complaint, and even if somebody is making a complaint, that is not recorded, not registered, not acted upon, and not even made known to anybody that such a complaint is there. This is the first defect they have failed. The objective which this particular CGHS was actually introduced, the committee says that it has not fulfilled that objective. They have given a piece of advice to the health ministry. They ask the health ministry, look at the CGHS not from the administrative point of view of a department, but from the point of view of the beneficiary of that particular organization. If you see through the eyes of the beneficiary, then only you will be able to see the defects. Otherwise, you will not see anything. So this is the advice they have given. Kindly look at it through the eyes of the beneficiary. And the fourth one was that you should have a periodical evaluation of the working of the CGHS to be done through an independent agency. See, they ask them, you see, any organization, I am interested. If I have set it up, I am interested in that. Beneficiary is interested in from their point of view. But everybody will look at it from their point of view only. The committee suggested that if you have to set right a system, then there should be an independent agency to look at its actual working and come to a conclusion that, look at, these are all needed. It will help out. The second one they have pointed out is that heavy workload of the people who are there. They say that every dispensary in those areas, I'm talking about not of today. Today, it will be a much worse situation. In 1980-81, the dispensaries which were functioning under the CGHS was catering on an average to 2,000 to 2,500 beneficiaries per day. The committee asked, how can this possible? With a few number of doctors and a few paramedical staff, how these 2,500 people can be catered for their requirement? They recorded, they said that a doctor is in a position to give only just 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes for even listening to the patient. Forget about the touching him or using his stethoscope or giving some other diagnostic instruments. Even to talk to him and understand what is his disease, it is given only 2 minutes. So, if you have not diagnosed the disease properly, the medicine will also be not going to be only of any effect to you. It will be simply swallowing a thing which is not required to be done by you. Fourth is, they say that even this 2,500, which they say, it's an average figure. There are dispensaries with 4,000, 4,500 beneficiaries in our country. They say this is an absolutely, you should have gone into this matter and you should have made some correction or corrective measures to this particular problem. They also said that the doctor-patient ratio, it was ranging from 1:5 to 1:160. They said no institutions can function in this manner. In some places, for every 5 patients, there is a doctor. And in some dispensaries, if for 160 persons coming and only one single doctor is. What you should do, that is an administrative, a managerial function. But this is something which will topsy-turvy the whole situation or the whole institution. And therefore, they have identified that, this thing. They have also said the deplorable state of affairs of our dispensary in those days. They say that these dispensaries do not have drinking water. There is no proper heating arrangements. Fans नहीं है. बहुत dispensary के पास कोई telephone भी नहीं था. And gynecological requirement. Because the family members and many others, the patients, the beneficiary himself may be a lady, or herself may be a lady, or the beneficiary's spouse will be there. He will not attend this. But there had been absolutely no arrangement in any of the dispensaries to look into the gynecological problems. And they were sent away whenever there is a gynecological problem is there. They will have to look at some other place for getting their problems resolved. When the dispensary was set up, there used to be a supervisory mechanism. Senior officers who are in the management level are supposed to go there, inspect it, supervise it, and find out here the people who are working over there, and here also the beneficiaries, and do something which is required to be done. They say that in the 25-year period, they have asked for the records. And how many directors had the time to go and visit this dispensary? कितना लोग गए थे उधर, क्या क्या उन्होंने दिखाया, क्या क्या उधर देखा, उसके बारे में कोई रिकॉर्ड है? कोई रिकॉर्ड नहीं. किसी ने गया, उसका भी कोई रिकॉर्ड नहीं है. तो कमिटी बता रहा था ये सुपरवाइजरी फंक्शन आप न करने के वजह से मेरे ऊपर कोई नहीं है, मेरे को कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है, तो मैं क्यों काम करने का है. इस तरीके से एक एटीट्यूड डेवलप हो गया. और इस एटीट्यूड निकालने के लिए आपके पास सिर्फ एक ही तरीका है, वो तरीका यही है, आप इसको ये सुपरवाइजरी फंक्शंस को ठीक तरीके से मिनिस्ट्री ने करना पड़ेगा. उन्होंने कुछ सजेशन दिया था. उस सजेशन में यही था, एक कंप्लेंट बुक तो जरूर होना चाहिए. वो कंप्लेंट बुक में लोग लिखेगा तो उसको ऑफिस तक, मतलब मिनिस्ट्री तक उसको भेजना पड़ेगा. और उसको भेजने के बाद उसमें क्या एक्शन उन्होंने बनाया, तो क्या एक्शन आपने लिया है, उस एक्शन को वो कंप्लेनेंट को भेजना पड़ता है, तभी कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्ड करेगा. जब आप एक बार मैंने मेरा कंप्लेंट लिख लिया, कुछ भी नहीं किया उस कंप्लेंट के ऊपर, देन क्या होने वाला है, देन नेक्स्ट टाइम मैं जाएंगे उधर, मैं उसका टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करूंगा. तो नेचुरली कोई कंप्लेंट नहीं आएगा, सब कुछ ठीक है. ऐसा नहीं कहा है. एक कमेटी का ये था, और कमेटी का उन्होंने ये बताया था, इसका एक रिपोर्ट भेजना पड़ेगा.
Hello. You are not audible.
Yes, there is no voice.
Comrade Kuti, there is no voice from you. Comrade Keken. Comrade Keken Kuti, your voice is not heard.
Video also not good.
Completely gone. They are not able to see him. They are not able to hear him.
He is not in the room.
They in good health. It's already lengthening his speech. Very, very boring. Come to the crux of the problem.
Comrade Kuti.
Kuti gone.
We cannot hear at all. No voice.
Kuti gone to Kerala.
One second, I am contacting him. Please wait, comrade.
He went to Chennai.
अरे बाबा हमारे दादू 3 बार बोलना.
I have not able to hear you. Somebody is. What is that? Nobody is able to control. No, my administration is there.
Comrade Kuti.
Okay.
Comrade Kuti, your mic is Comrade Kuti, your mic is muted.
Mic is muted, you can hear.
Hello.
Hello.
We cannot hear at all. No voice at all.
One second, Comrade Kuti is here, but his mic is muted.
Acha.
Very good. Don't
I'm asking him to unmute.
ask him to not to talk first.
One second.
Once you present it, people have been asked to take the insurance scheme. As has been bribed by the insurance.
Hello.
Comrade Kuti, your mic is muted.
Yes, comrade, but I am unmuting it, but it says the host has muted it.
Okay, now it is okay. You can speak. Sometimes there was a complete loss of your voice. Okay, now you okay. You can speak, comrade.
Okay. Coming. So, comrades, मैं आपसे ये बोल रहा था, उन्होंने ये कंप्लेंट बुक के बारे में ये बताया और क्या सॉल्यूशन उसमें रेजोल्यूशन होना चाहिए उसके बारे में भी उन्होंने रेकमेंड किया गया. Am I audible, comrade KR?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Yes, you are audible, comrade. You go ahead.
Okay. So और उसका ये सुपरविजन के बारे में उसका हुई थी. नेक्स्ट एक्सपेंडिचर के बारे में उन्होंने ये डिस्कशन गया था. गवर्नमेंट उस समय 5.5 लाख बेनिफिशियरीज सीजीएचएस में थे. आज को संख्या आपको मालूम है, वो तो इट विल बी इन क्रोर्स. ये 1.59 करोड़ ऑफ पीपल के लिए वो 5.5 लाख बेनिफिशियरीज था. गवर्नमेंट वाज स्पेंडिंग 1.59 करोड़ ऑफ रुपीस ऑन सीजीएचएस. It was actually 272 rupees per family. Actually, net figure was 245. Average per family, government was spending 245 rupees. The committee went into a comparison of what is exactly the position elsewhere or else in other spheres of the activity. In the case of BHEL, in the case of Air India was spending per family, per beneficiary, 725 rupees against 245 of central government employees. BHEL was spending 830 rupees. SAIL was spending 678 rupees. And even the railways, which is another central government institution only, even they were spending 310 rupees per beneficiary compared to 245 rupees to the central government employees. So the committee pointed it out to them that you can't be parsimonious when the question of healthcare comes into view. If you begin to behave like that, then naturally the system cannot be improved at all. Even this, now the dispensary wise expenditure is not being published at all by the CGHS. But in those days, dispensary-wise expenditure used to be published. We used to find that a small dispensary, even a wellness center, how much the government was spending in Vittalbhai Patel House, where the MP's quarters was located, and how much they were spending in a very, very, thickly populated place. These were very clearly visible when the per dispensary expenditure figure were made available. That was the simple reason that they have stopped that. But even at that point of time, the committee has pointed it out that in Allahabad, it was 164 rupees. And in Ahmedabad, it was 641 rupees. This is such variation, how this is taking place was beyond their comprehension. And they asked the ministry to look into this matter. There can be, it cannot be uniform. There will be some differences here and there. But the range of difference cannot be so very varying in character. So they say that this has got to be looked into by the ministry. Next comes their recommendation on the working system. They say that the present procedure adopted is very, very cumbersome. If a person has to get the medicine, or if a person goes to the dispensary in those days, in 81, 82, he will have to visit 7 persons to see to it that ultimately he gets the medicine and he is out of the CGHS dispensary. How is it possible? An individual was to go there and he has to visit 7 persons before he is out of that particular dispensary. Then it was a very time-consuming process. The people used to spend for, hours together, where it is a matter of 15 minutes, ought to have been a matter of 15 minutes. And this type of, it was considered as almost a harassment to the beneficiaries. And they thought that even if they would have gone to a normal or a public hospital or a general hospital which is maintained by the provincial government, where the large majority of the common people are converging for treatment, even there, they need not have to wait this much of time. So this is what the committee's recommendation was there. Then about the working hours. They say the working hours which has been conceived by the ministry as far as the CGHS dispensaries are concerned, it is so inconvenient to the beneficiary. The convenience of the beneficiaries are not taken into account. Convenience of many other, the system managers, or for that matter, those who are running the system, their convenience alone is taken into consideration. And therefore, the committee suggested that a 12-hour shift for every dispensary that must be made, and whatever requirement of additional staff that is required for maintaining a 12-hour shift system in the dispensaries, that should be provided by the government, and the government should not be, what their work study should be based upon that particular 12-hour system and not in any other manner. The another aspect which the committee have gone into very detailed and they have criticized is the question of dispensing of the medicines. On many occasions, the doctor will prescribe the medicine which is required for the patient, but the medicine will not be available in the pharmacy of the dispensary. He will have to go for a local purchase. He may not get it even on the day on which when it is required for him. It will take 7 days, 8 days to get the medicine. And the committee asked, what is then the use of this particular system? I go to the dispensary, I saw the doctor, he gave me the medicine, but I am not able to take the medicine for 1 week. How my disease or my problem or my illness will go away? So these are all some of the things which the committee has really gone into very deep, and they have suggested all these things. They have suggested that there should be an authorized chemical chemist that should be appointed by the government. If they cannot provide the medicines, which are required if they cannot stock the medicine. They have also crystallized the medical store depot of CGH. They say that there is no stock exceeding beyond 3 to 12 months of any medicine in the medical store. The quality of the medicines which have been purchased through tendering process. We know very well that how the tendering takes place. The lowest tender has to be the criterion for decision making. Quality is compromised in that particular aspect. And when the quality is compromised, then you are simply wasting the money. That's what the committee has pointed it out. That you have purchased that medicine, maybe it must be costing some lakhs of rupees. But if those medicines are of substandard quality, it doesn't have any use for anybody, then that entire lakhs of rupees have gone waste and nobody benefited out of that. It is a sheer waste. So there cannot be, what their suggestion is that there cannot be a compromise on the quality of the medicines which you are purchasing. Competition is not on the basis of reducing the quality of the medicine. So there will have to be somebody to look into that medicine which you have purchased is actually according to the standard quality or not. If it is not of the standard quality, you should have the right to reject that medicine. And you should recover the money from the person who have provided it or supplied it. They say random checking, it may not be possible sometimes for every consignment to be checked and every consignment to be certified before it is taken care of, because that is not a feasible proposition in any business we know. But a random checking, a random checking with a certain amount of an element of surprise, that will bring about a situation, because once a person is caught, he is going to be completely out of the entire list of providers for the CGH. So they have suggested these things to be done by the CGHS, and the blacking out of the suppliers, that was one of the things which they have stated. No, you know very well that means prior to 1981, the government started recognizing private hospital for the purpose of CGHS benefit. In the initial stages, the recognition of the private hospitals or the private participation, they were very, very, enthusiastic insofar as the private hospitals were concerned. And they were duty bound in most of the places to help the government or to serve the government employee, because many of the private hospitals today that have come up. Hello.
Yes, you are here. Please speak, comrade. You are audible.
Audible, okay. So they say that the entire
Comrade,
things are very super.
there are
Recognition of hospitals.
noises coming.
In Delhi,
Nageshwara Rao is speaking.
Central government hospitals were all recognized for the purpose of PHS beneficiaries. They were all very good hospitals.
Comrade Kutti, 1 second, you have to unmute your mic.
Etc.
Comrade Kutti, kindly unmute your mic. Yes, now okay.
Yes. Unmuted.
Unmuted, yes. Now okay. Carry on.
The 4 hospitals which were recognized by the government, that was actually run by the government themselves, central government in Delhi. The Jayaprakash Narayan, the Ram Manohar Lokhiya Hospital, the AIMS, and the hospital in Delhi. They were very good hospital, and even today they are very good hospitals. My comrade from Delhi will vouchsafe with me that they are the best organized, best managed hospitals in the country. There were private hospitals which were also very, what I say, famous, and they had their own well-functioning. These hospitals were recognized by the government for the purpose of CGHS beneficiaries for the inpatient treatment. That was in fact a boon for many of the CGHS beneficiaries, because they found available for them in these hospitals. But slowly and steadily, because the dispute over the charges that they were making, they were levying, the government insistence that you should charge only this much, you should not charge this beyond this much, or the beneficiaries were told you can take your treatment in any hospital, but you are going to get only the charges which the government prescribes. In that case, some people it will be possible. Those who feel that, okay, let me get a better treatment, and I will get a subsidized reimbursement only, I will bear with that. But this cannot continue when the difference between the charges levied by the hospitals and the charges that are going to be given by the CGHS as reimbursement, when the difference goes on increasing, then it becomes unbearable for a common beneficiary to go into this matter. And that is why these recognized or empaneled hospitals came into almost, what I say, it was totally, that system itself has become unworkable. I give only a very, very concrete example. In 1981-82, in their report, they say there were 8 hospitals in the city of Mumbai, which was recognized, 8 private hospitals in the city of Mumbai, which was recognized. Mumbai Hospital was one hospital, had been a recognized hospital, a paneled hospital of CGHS. Mumbai Hospital actually is run by, very my comrades from Mumbai will be telling me that it is run by by the Birla Trust. It was running very well there. They suffered. They have tolerated this non-payment or whatever it may be. Sometimes no payment will be paid, and even if the payment is paid, it will be very much delayed. And once the bill goes to them, it will be drastically cut. So it became unbearable for them. Now they are opted out of that scheme. Recently today, I do not know whether things have changed for better or not, but at least a few years back, when I visited Bombay, I was told that in Mumbai there is not a single hospital recognized for the purpose of CGHS benefit. So this actually tells the story of our deterioration of the CGHS function. And then comes the polyclinic and the super specialty hospital. The polyclinics were actually started for the purpose of, because certain types of diseases like cardiac, cancer, which is chronic in nature, where you require a special type of treatment, where your detection is difficult for a normal doctor, And therefore, polyclinic with some super specialized doctors, one of the ideas that was conceived and but even this super speciality, this polyclinic, that has also deteriorated. There had been absolutely nothing that has been over there. So the committee has commented upon that also. If not twice in a year, at least once in a year, the beneficiaries of CGHS should be given a free or in any other dispensary. It is the best preventive methodology that can be employed so that the diseases or the critical nature of the diseases can be avoided. That was one of the recommendations which was made by this committee in 1981-82. Then question of clinical labs, polyclinic. Another
Comrade KR.
Yes, comrade.
We are not able to hear Comrade KK Kutty's voice.
Yeah, I don't. Comrade KK.
Comrade Raghavendran.
We are not hearing you, Comrade KK.
Comrade KR.
Yes.
KR.
Yeah. Suddenly your voice is not heard. Suddenly you are going off the video also.
Yeah. Should I come in my computer? I will once again try for that.
You are not clearly audible. You try to speak, comrade. Whether your net connectivity is okay?
Net connectivity is okay.
If your net connectivity is not correct, sometimes this may happen. Maybe another comrade suggesting that you can put your video off and talk only.
Okay. Okay, now I have come on my computer. Do you see me anywhere? Okay, now I have come on my computer. Not that I will put up my name.
If you come on your computer, you can speak now.
I have to unmute my mic, you know. Are you listening my voice now?
Yeah, yes. Now clear. Now voice is clear.
Voice is clear. Okay, yeah. So my picture will not be there.
No need. You can speak.
So, comrades, we were on the subject of the other requirements for body cleaning. It has some.
Comrade Kutty, now you have to unmute again. I have muted all, including you. You have to unmute.
Okay, I have unmuted now.
Okay.
The another important matter which the committee has commented upon is the staff strength and the workload and the need for a reasonable promotional avenue for the medical officers, paramedical staff, and others who are working in the CGHS. Naturally, so any institution, if that institution has to function properly, it should have.
Non speaking.
1 minute, comrade, 1 minute. Comrade, now you are listening me?
Yeah, sure.
So the other aspect which they have actually concentrated in their report was the need for a proper work structure and proper cadre management for the people who are working over there. They suggested for cadre restructuring. They also suggested for the cadre review, and they have especially touched upon the fate of the doctors, because those who are recruited as doctors in this CGHS, their promotional avenues were very few and far between. And at certain point of time, with the facts and figures, they have pointed it out that they were very dispirited lot of people. And naturally, an unmotivated staff strength or the personnel that cannot make any institution to be functioning properly. So this is what they have pointed it out, and they have requested the ministry that they should evolve a particular methodology in which reasonable proposition of promotion or aspiration for promotion or promotional avenue is actually addressed, because there are limitations. Comrade, kindly mute your mute your mic, please. Otherwise, what you are talking, I am listening. Either you can, if you cannot mute it, you kindly keep quiet. At least that can be done. So the question that aspect, the estimates committee has very critically examined it, and they have made certain suggestions also for improving upon the lot of the people who are working in the CGHS and their career prospects, how it could be done, because it is a restricted, because they cannot go beyond it is not like any other organization wherein we have been working. Large number of people, large number of posts, large number of promotions, and at least a particular waiting period for one promotion to another. These were not available in the case of CGHS. And absolute, what I say, lack of application of mind in respect of this particular aspect of cadre management. Okay, you have appointed a doctor and he is looking after the patients or the beneficiaries. That is the end of the road. You need not have to worry about anything. It's not the case. That gentleman will be able to do, the doctor, or for that matter, that paramedicos or anybody, whoever is working over there. He has got aspiration. He is a human being. That particular aspect was actually not taken care of by the CGHS management. And that is what they have stated. Ultimately, they say that it is not. There are many important areas in which the CGHS has to give certain importance. That is the question of mobility, the eye checkup, residential accommodation for the employees, so on and so forth. So, one another important matter which the committee has touched upon is that.
Reaction
Comrade, you kindly unmute your mic and then speak over your phone.
Comrade, I am muting all once again. Kindly you have to
I am
unmute,
seeing
comrade.
him right in front of me.
I am unmuting all. You have to unmute once again. Comrade Kuti, you have to unmute once again.
Yeah, I'll do that. So the point that they have made out was that there should be a proper professional management system that is required for the purpose of administering the CGHS. It has grown into a bigger organization from a small beginning in 1954. By the time even in 1981-82, from 25 years of its existence, it has come into being as a big organization, because not only the modern medicines were being the dispensaries were not only catering to the modern medicines, allopathy, but also the Ayurveda, the Siddha, the other Indian type of medicines were also their prerogative. They had dispensaries, so on and so forth. Naturally, this organization has become, it has grown up like anything. And while it grows up, it has got certain problem of growing up. And that problem has to be addressed in a professional manner. It could not have been addressed by a normal, if you just disregard it, then it will degenerate it. And that is what exactly that has happened in the case of CGHS. This is in short that what the committee has gone into functioning of the CGHS. I think to a great extent, I have gone into to enumerate the observation of that committee to bring to your notice that how exhaustive and inquisitorial was the committee's conduct. Diagnosis of the ills of CGHS were mostly identified as early as in 1980-81, as I told you. That is on the completion of the 25th year of CGHS. All those ills are almost today. I think my comrades who are listening today in this or participating in this webinar, they are all beneficiaries of the CGHS. And I know that they will be definitely agreeing with me that in most of these ills which have been pointed out in 1980-81 in that committee's report, those ills are even presently very much available even today, uncleared, unattended, and unaddressed. So no such review, actually they wanted every 5 years their review has to be undertaken. But it is very sad, comrade, that today we are almost on the 60th year of the 60 year is over as far as CGHS functioning is concerned. And after that 81-82, no parliamentary committee has been set up to go into the functioning of the CGHS at all. No review has been taken afterwards. Only a committee of that particular character or that particular authority or that particular respectability will be able to pinpoint the problem and will be able to suggest to the government with a certain amount of authority and respect that, look here, these are all the problems and you should address that. No other person will be able to say anything about it. Because whoever goes there for inspection, you know, we all know about it. The inspecting agency will go on making some report. These reports we will read and we will put it in the place where it is required to be placed. This is how it happens. Even this committee's report, which has happened in 1980-81 in the case of CGHS, many of their suggestions are even today to see the light of the day and to be addressed. If this is the situation, then we can think about that what would have been the state of affairs or what is the state of affairs of CGHS as on today when no review has been undertaken. Because first and foremost, when it functions as a governmental organization, when the money comes from the budget proposal from the Exchequer of India, when you receive the money, there are absolutely an unaccountability. Nobody is accounting for that. Accounting will be there. Somebody must be accounting, saying that, look here, this is the money we have spent. But there is no accountability at all. How that money has been spent, whether it has been of any use, whether it has helped anybody, whether it is for the benefit of anybody, all those things are not at all. So these are all this is the present state of affairs of the CGHS. Now in this situation, I just wanted to present before you that the pensioners organization in most of them, because in this committee, only one pensioners organization has given its evidence. With all due respect, I should mention their name. It is the Bharat Pensioner Samaj. They submitted a memorandum to the committee in 1980-81. I don't have the copy of that memorandum which they have submitted, but they must have enumerated the problems that has been faced by the beneficiaries, because most of the problems have come from these memoranda that has been submitted. But very many organizations of the working employees, but mostly Delhi centered, because the CGHS was actually a Delhi-based institution in those days. So naturally, the Delhi-based employees have gone and made their presentation before that committee, which was the reason why some of the illness or some of the difficulties could be brought light by that committee. So naturally, comrade, it has now become the responsibility of many of us, the pensioners organization today. We should have a comprehensive, what is the present day of structure of this organization, CGHS? How it should be. We should have a feeling of what what the CGHS should be. I can go on telling about my problem or somebody else's problem or the problem which we have got received from many as a matter of complaint from many other, but that's not. During this particular period, I can tell very frankly, because I have been associated with that, the JCM had struggled for quite a lot to improve upon the functioning of the CGHS on every national council meeting, which is now become very few and far between. Otherwise, in 1980s, 90s, up to 1998, every tier of the JCM has been in full swing and they were functioning. And these items used to come up for discussion in the standing committee as also in the National Council of the JCM. A permanent committee was set up by the JCM National Council for the purpose of looking into the problems of the CGHS alone under the Health Ministry. The staff side has nominated certain members for that. They were responsible for collecting all the communications from everybody and presenting it before the committee. And through the functioning of that committee, which used to meet at least once in 6 months, now it's not even once in a year, we used to try to address some of the problems which have come up. The SCOVA, of course, mostly, they also used to take up some of the problems which are of CGHS as a pensioners forum. But otherwise, except this, there had been no institutional sort of an interaction between the people who are administering the CGHS and the people who are the beneficiaries of that. This was not in the place, not in place during this particular point of time. The recommendation of the successive pay commissions, because we submit a memorandum to the pay commission. Okay. We will look at these matters. And pay commissions, with the limited time that they are disposal, pay commission. Hello.
Hello.
The successive pay commissions have made a short circuit for all the whole things. That's what I feel about it. And they say that health insurance system should be introduced. What does it mean? If you introduce a health insurance system, then CGHS has to be discarded. My understanding of that situation is that then there is no necessity for CGHS. You go to any hospital you like it, you take treatment from anywhere you like it, which the insurance company has suggested you. You get the money reimbursed for you. This is what the insurance system is. For the fifth pay commissions made the first recommendation, the sixth pay commission made it a very, solid recommendation. But all these 10-15 year period, government had been toying with the idea. Whenever an issue of the CGHS is taken up in the council, when it is subjected to discussion, then we were told the government has recommended for an insurance, we are working upon that. When that insurance scheme comes, then this will be a duplication. Therefore, we are not going to do anything. So, sixth pay commission, you all know that it was in 2006. We are now in 2016 and 21. And prior to that, fifth pay commission has also said they started selling these type of things that we cannot do. An insurance scheme is going to be on the anvil, and naturally it will take care of all the problems that you are telling about the CGHS. Therefore, it need not be there. This had been the situation that they were talking to us. So there had been no concentrated or concerted attempt on the part of the government to address the issues, even when it was pointed it out to them during this particular 2 decades period, when the insurance system as a substitute to the CGHS was thought of and propagated. Because you know very well that that's why I talked about the new neoliberal policies of 1991 and thereafter, because they say that everything should be for benefit of some private entrepreneurs, some corporate houses. So the insurance companies should thrive, and they can thrive only when these things are actually unleashed to them. And this was the process that was going on. It was only very recently that the expansion of CGHS was thought of. Otherwise, it was covering only 28 cities for a quite long period of time. For more than 2 decades, the CGHS coverage had not exceeded beyond 28 cities. And because it has not gone beyond 28 cities, the number of beneficiaries also did not increase. Today it covers 74 cities, and really things have started in a different manner. Over the constant neglect of this institution, rather during this period, the situation got deteriorated day by day. Facilities were withdrawn one by one from the beneficiaries. Empaneled hospitals number came down very drastically. Even those recognized were very low in quality side. The anger against the institution actually grew. The organization which has objected insurance scheme, or even the beneficiaries who were objecting to the insurance scheme in the initial stages, they started saying that there be an insurance scheme. It is far better than the present system that we are having, or we are having. It is a what we can call what type of an attitude. When I am convinced that there is no improvement that is going to be possible, I am not going to get anything out of the CGHS. I will have to either die or spend my own money. That is the only alternative that left for me. That has compelled the beneficiaries to go into the terms of vocally supporting the question of insurance. That is why the insurance scheme got a lot of supporters on a later years. I will now turn to some of the observation. You see, I don't say that there had been no review that was taken. The NITI Aayog engaged somebody. His name is Rakesh Sarwal. He submitted a report to a research paper to the NITI Aayog. NITI Aayog is the substitute for the Planning Commission. That report contains some of the very, very valid observations. Some of the things which we should be able to look at it. That paper has been published in the National Medical Journal of India. It's published in November 2015. Prepared at the instance of NITI Aayog. This was done on the 60th year of our CGHS function. Each time the institution, as you know, has grown in experience and had weathered many controversies. By the time the review was undertaken, it appears the mindset of persons, of the beneficiaries and political level authorities, insofar as the CGHS and its community are concerned as an institution, had changed for better. It appears that now that the intention to dismantle the institution has to some extent waned. Let us look at some of the observations that has been made. He actually has looked into the CGHS as a universal health system. on the lines of what the WHO has suggested for many of the developing countries. A universal health system is something which comprehensively look into the requirement of the whole of the population of that country for the purpose of having a better health care. It includes both the preventive one, it includes the curative one, it includes the rehabilitative one, it also includes the palliative needs of the people at large. That's what a UHS is. His intention is whether it could be made converted into such a UHS, such a universal healthcare system in India. Because the WHO in their report has said that a small country, it's not a small country, a very undeveloped country like Rwanda, they have made this experiment and they have succeeded in this experiment of making UHS a workable proposition, and has created a better environment not only for a targeted amount of people but also the whole of the population in their country. So I will read out some of these, some of the suggestions which this committee has said. I'm not going into that CGHS, RELS, ECHS, CSI that they have said. But when they have gone into the report of the functioning of the CGHS is estimated to cover 2.3 crores families. 2.3 crores families, not people. That is 8.2 crores persons. 6.45% of India's population. This that report says. Today, CGHS as an institution caters to the requirement of 2.3 crores of families. It means 8.2 crores of people, which is 6.5% of percentage of India's population. No other targeted institution is actually targeting this many number of people other than the primary health centers and the community health centers and the general hospitals, so on and so forth, which is in the public domain. The cost borne by the government for the four schemes are CGHS, RELS, ECHS and ESI. Ranges from rupees 2,184 to rupees 19,590 per family. CGHS is receiving government help to the extent of 19,593 rupees per family. This also is important for us to look at the whole thing. A study was undertaken when the CGHS coverage was just for 25 cities, spread over 18 states and 2 UTs. So much of expansion has taken place. No, very well. Now today it covers to 74 cities. Almost all states of India is covered. In 74 places there are CGHS dispensaries. Insofar as coverage is concerned, CGHS roughly covers 47% of working employees and 46% of the pensioners. Of the total number of pensioners which we are having, except those who are residing in the official places in our country, 46% of the pensioners are actually beneficiaries of CGHS. And 47% of the working employees are also beneficiaries of the CGHS. This I have told you only to know the dimension of the CGHS coverage. 59% of the savings of the serving employees covered by CGHS from the Central Reserve Police Force. Of the beneficiaries of the working employees, 59% or more than almost 60% comes from only one institution, and that is the Central Reserve Police Forces. The rest of the CGS working group are covered by CCS MA rules. They get OPD by AMS through AMS, and inpatient treatment they will have to go only to the government hospitals. Insofar as pensioners are concerned, the problem here is that in the case of pensioners who are not covered by the CGHS, who are residing in the official stations or in the far-flung areas, who cannot get themselves, who are getting the fixed medical allowance, they don't have any facility for inpatient treatment. If they are to be hospitalized, that will have to be at their own expenditure. 55% of the pensioners are in station with the CGHS presence as opted for CGHS. And 44% of the pensioners, where they stay in non-CGHS areas, opted as actually only opted for CGHS. Jammu and Kashmir, the percentage is 82%, and the least amount of pensioners who have not opted for CGHS is in Delhi with 5.5%. There are 254 modern medicine dispensaries in the country, 78 Ayush dispensaries, 3 yoga centers, 19 polyclinic, 73 labs, and 19 dental clinics. This is the figure of 2015. That's undergone a lot of change afterwards that I will give you later. 19 postal dispensaries were taken over, and it has got only 4 hospitals at its own. The private hospitals which are partnering with the CGHS, as in 2015, was 382. The diagnostic centers were 137. Eye centers were 179. Dental clinic were 72. Cancer hospitals were 20. Doctor-patient ratio was 1:2.2064, and paramedics is 1:1964. That means on an average, 2,064 beneficiaries were having only one doctor. Paramedic physician ratio is 1:5:1, lower than even of the government hospitals in the country. Very comprehensive benefit package has been given to the CGHS beneficiaries. But all these things, inpatient facilities, you know, that is pay related. The entitlement are actually not based on pay at all. It is common, and it is irrespective of the pay scale. It is one and the same. Daily average attendance in OPD in CGHS dispensaries were in 2015 50,000 people per day. Medicine dispensations is the area where that gentleman has found out the maximum amount of complaint that has emanated. One single item. Comrade, has it been disconnected? Hello.
You are heard. You are heard clearly. Continue, please.
Okay. Medicine dispensation is the area which this particular research paper has also found out to be one of the problem areas of the CGHS. In August 2014, the government of India actually banned all foreign formulations. Today, CGHS has got 1447, the 1,447 generic and 644 branded medicines alone are permitted. The government decided to set up a technical committee in 2014. It has got various functions, and those we will look at it later. This technical committee was an innovation that was made by the ministry in 2014. The 4 measuramental things on which they have evaluated the functioning of the CGHS is the patient satisfaction, accessibility, environment, behavior pattern. CGHS has got the lowest point, it is 0.48. And ECHS, amongst this contributory system, ECHS has got 0.52. And naturally, CGHS remains the lowest there. The Parliament intervention of CGHS function. Some of the interesting point he has made out. the number of questions that has been raised in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha between the period 1996 to 2004. In Rajya Sabha, 9% of the total questions pertain to CGHS. And in Lok Sabha, it was 5% of the total questions raised during this period in Lok Sabha. The reference that is made to the private hospitals, there is absolutely no barometer on this. There is no yardstick how this has to be done or how it is to be done. It is absolutely discriminatory, and it is arbitrary decisions that is taken by the people who have got authority to take such decision. In our case, mostly by the additional director of that particular region. In modern management, the customer satisfaction is considered to be the most important thing. In the customer satisfaction in contribution to is almost very low insofar as CGHS is concerned. 42% of the beneficiaries are paying 42% of the healthcare needs. If you ask somebody how much he has borne from his own pocket for the purpose of healthcare, how much has been borne by the CGHS, where he can utilize the CGHS, you will find that nearly 40% of his healthcare needs actually he has looked after by himself. He has not gone to the CGHS dispensary to get that. These are some of the factors that in 2012-13, the average cost of servicing the employee in CGHS was 15,516 rupees was spent for every working employee in CGHS. Whereas the figure that is pertaining to the pensioner at that particular point of time is 19,593. It is a little more than that of the working employee. The reason is very simple. In the case of the working employee, the family consisting of at least 4 members, but in the case of pensioners, the family consists of on an average only 2 members. That is why this difference has come about. 6% of the total funds allocated to Ministry of Health in the budget that is used by the CGHS. The package scheme was an innovation that has actually introduced by the CGHS. But that package system is yet to take its advantage are still not been felt by the beneficiary. CGHS has got a very peculiar phenomenon. This is what this gentleman has pointed it out. Those who are outside the ambit of the CGHS, they are very eager to come inside the ambit. That they wanted to come. They wanted to be the beneficiaries of CGHS. Perhaps after the discussion, we will find the number of queries will be, why in my city CGHS has not come? So people wanted to be inside the CGHS. And once they are inside the CGHS, the problem arises is they are lamenting about the poor services that they receive from the CGHS. This is the wonderful, a strange phenomenon that this gentleman has pointed it out in his research paper. They have suggested that a bureaucratic setup will not solve the problem like that of an organization like CGHS. And therefore, they have said that here there should be a professional management team to look after the affairs of the CGHS. It has to be given certain amount of autonomy of functioning. The government should make how much money they will be able to provide to the CGHS every year in advance, so that this autonomous organization can plan properly, and they also can interact with the government and say that if I am to improve the functioning of the CGHS in this manner, I require this much for capital expenditure, this much for revenue expenditure. This type of a financial management system, professionally managed, is become very, very necessary. This is what that research paper has suggested. But the whole idea of this research paper or the NITI Aayog, in my understanding of the matter, is that how to get a better idea for corporatization this institution. So in the ultimate analysis, this gentleman has said that the best way, perhaps the best way to go into this welfare, well-functioning of the CGHS will be to make it into a corporate entity and make it to function like a corporate organization, so that it will not be depending upon the government or the exchequer. They may be depending because it is a subsidized. Healthcare cannot be a profitable propositions unless otherwise it is made to be like that. So if it is wanted, if it is to be catered to the requirement of the people or the servants or the civil servants at large or the employees or the workers, then a certain amount, the amount will not be varying. Government can predetermine the amount and they can run it. This is what that paper has ultimately talked about. Now, I have gone to the present system of this thing. There are 35 lakh beneficiaries, 74 cities, and other than railways, the pensioners and many other services, they are now part of this particular thing. The CGHS centers, because now we have got a very limited time at our disposal, I can't go into the whole gamut of the discussions that can go into this matter. But I can tell you in CGHS centers as on today, in Uttar Pradesh, there are 12 dispensaries, in Gujarat 2, in Rajasthan 4, in Haryana 2, Orissa 3, Madhya Pradesh 4, Tamil Nadu 3, Bihar 4, Jharkhand 2, and NCR, Delhi is considered as 1, though they have got 8 dispensaries. Assam 2, West Bengal 2, Maharashtra 3, Kerala with the 3-1, which has been now recently sanctioned, it is 4, otherwise there was only 1. All states have got one dispensary, one station of CGHS at least. I'll read out those places where only one dispensary or one CGHS center is there. It is Tripura, Mizoram, Karnataka, Chandigarh, Telangana, Manipur, Jammu and Kashmir, Nagaland, Goa, Chhattisgarh, Meghalaya, Himachal Pradesh, Pondicherry, and Uttarakhand. CGHS contribution, of course, now what I say we all know. It is level 1 to 5 is 250, level 6 is 450, level 7 to 11 it is 650, level 12 to above it is 1000. And pension contribution, we all know that it is a lifetime payment or it can be a yearly payment. There are 1,303 empaneled hospitals as on today, and the diagnostic centers which are partnering is 206. I'm sure you will agree that the CGHS group has grown over the years, no doubt about it. It has outsmarted all other similar institutions that has come into being even before that. But the client satisfaction remains at the bottom of the CGHS. Both the review has brought this to the light. There must be a permanent machinery where the beneficiaries' representatives can meet, discuss, and take decision to improve its quality. It cannot be a governance redressal a grievance redressal mechanism. How best the services can be catering to the needs of the beneficiaries, our suggestion must include the need for a thorough overhaul. I think we will need a special session to address the matter. We should demand for a parliamentary review of the functioning of this committee of this CGHS, as has been done in the case of 1980-81. It is a long time back. When it completed 25 years, now it has completed more than 60 years, and therefore the parliament should look into this matter, because there should be some accountability or some sort of a response to the suggestion which that committee will be making it. So as pensioners organization, together we should demand for that. We were against the insurance scheme right from the beginning. But our last conference, which was held at Rajasthan Association, especially of NCCPAs, this matter was discussed at length to have an insurance scheme only for a targeted number of people. Who are those targeted people? The targeted people are those pensioners who are residing in the non-CGHS areas where they don't have the facility of any inpatient treatment. Neither reimbursement is permitted to them. We have taken up this matter quite a number of occasions. Even at the last meeting of the National Council also, this was discussed, but they are not going to agree upon because of the greater outflow of finances that is required for a reimbursement scheme. So, but then what benefit we can provide to them? So we thought about that insurance scheme. I will just tell some of the important salient features of that scheme which we have evolved. and we have submitted to the government. Coverage is, as I told you, those who are getting FMA, but those who are not accepting the CGHS as a beneficiary. What is the premium that we have suggested? The premium should be 3/4 of the fixed medical allowance, that is at 1,000 rupees. 3/4 will be 750 rupees per month, and that means 9,000 rupees per annum. What is the coverage? All people who are beyond the age of 60 and below the age of 70 can join the scheme, should join the scheme even at that particular point of time. How much is to be covered? 40% of the 2.2 lakhs, that is 20 lakh beneficiaries we are expecting. 20 lakh beneficiaries will be joining in the scheme. And 20 lakh beneficiaries means, in the case of pensioners, it is in fact 40 lakhs, because the spouse, both the husband and wife will be beneficiaries of that. So at least 20 lakhs of people will be joined. What is the sum to be assured? 15 lakhs of rupees is the sum assured. That means whatever you have spent for the inpatient treatment, or 15 lakhs of rupees, whichever is the highest will be reimbursed to you. This is what the scheme is. Maturity of the policy will be up to the death of the beneficiary or his spouse or his or the next, that is the spouse. What the scheme is talking about. Review of the scheme, we have suggested that scheme should be reviewed every 3 years. And we have said that if no insurance company is coming forward to take over this particular matter, then government should bear the premium expenditure, premium money for providing it to them. And this is what we have suggested. This has not been discussed. We hope it will be discussed in the next meeting sometime. And let us hope that the problem that is being faced by our comrades, especially the pensioner comrades, who are today who do not have any system or any methodology of getting their inpatient treatment reimbursed, they are in the worst situation, and therefore their problems will have to be, in my humble submission, their problems will have to be specifically addressed. And that is why we were compelled to suggest for this health insurance scheme in respect of only those pensioners who are presently not covered by the CGHS scheme and who cannot possibly be covered by the CGHS scheme, even under the extended facility that has been provided to them by the government by virtue of these orders. Comrade, I think I have actually overcrossed the amount of time that was given to me by the organizers. I have put them into a lot of difficulties that I know, but I thought that this being an important issue, I should bring before you the whole history so that you will be in a better position to suggest something to improve upon the functioning of the CGHS, because I firmly believe that CGHS cannot be discarded, should not be discarded, must not be discarded. It should remain and it should be improved upon, and all difficulties are possible to be overcome. There can be a better professionally managed CGHS, and it can be very good for the central government employees and civil servants. This is my consideration, my firm thinking on this matter. With these few words, I once again thank my comrades who have given me this opportunity to present. Though I promise that I will speak both in English and Hindi, but once I started flowing it, then I couldn't switch over to Hindi very often. I'm very sorry to my comrades who could not follow what exactly I was telling. But we will do one thing, we will have it only in Hindi at one another point of time. This is the only assurance that I can give you in this regard. Thank you very much, comrade. Thank you very much.
Comrade Raghateji. Comrade Raghateji, President.
Yes, yes.
May I?
So, should...
yeah. Raghateji, you kindly speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, okay. So today's participants on behalf of AIPRPA, we have organized this webinar, and many of the guest state general secretaries of AIPRPA and others, they have participated in today's meeting. Comrade KKN Kutti has very elaborately and with his masterly voice and study. He has given very good information, and it was in fact a good digest for all the comrades how this scheme started, how it was evaluated, how it was increased, and the details, statewide beneficiaries. Everything has been very kind in saying all these things in detail. In fact, we should have some document on this so that it can be used as a model speech and study matter for our further references. It was a good experience for all of us to know how it was developed. And his last remark that that the CGHS should be continued, and if there is anything proposed to stop that, we have to organize against struggle for that. It was his indication in his last suggestion that it should remain, it should be continued. So it was very studious speech by Comrade K.K.M. Kutty. And I think though there were some disturbances, but we could make out him we could understand all the things he was saying. I think it was good effort on part of General Secretary AIPRP, Comrade K. Raghavendra, to organize this meeting and give this opportunity to all our comrades and members. With this, I think we have taken about 2 hours, nearly 2 hours. We have been doing this seminar. And Comrade KRG, may I conclude it or what?
I will just have a word and then conclusion.
Yes. Okay. So it was a good opportunity for all of us. Now, Comrade KR, I give my sincere thanks to Comrade K.K.M. Kutty for delivering his study speech in this webinar, and also to all our viewers. And I will hand over it to Comrade K. Raghavendran. He has some suggestions and who want to speak in short.
Thanks, Comrade President.
Comrade KR.
Yes.
I want to say something.
You want to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Comrade, one thing is there that the scheme is very good.
Yes.
But there is a deterioration of the scheme. Yes. I know that in 1991 and 93, I participated with Comrade S.K. Vyas, a meeting arranged by with the Health Secretary regarding various problems faced on the CGHS. And consequently, in 2003, again meeting was held, and there was a suggestion that order was issued by the Health Ministry that 70 patients per doctor will look after the 70 patients. 70 डॉक्टर्स 70 पेशेंट्स पर डे डॉक्टर को वो ऑर्डर निकाला था 2007 में। 2009 में एडवाइजरी कमेटी की फंक्शनिंग हुई थी, जो मंथली मीटिंग एडवाइजरी कमेटी की होती है। दूसरी बात ये है कि जितने भी पैरामेडिकल स्टाफ या डॉक्टर्स और स्पेशलिस्ट वो रिटायर हो जाते हैं, उन पर अपनी पत्र लिखने के बाद स्कोवा में उठाने के बावजूद भी हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री द्वारा कोई कार्रवाई नहीं की जाती, जिससे पेंशनर्स और जो बेनिफिशियरी हैं वो सफर करते हैं। हमारा सबमिशन CGPA राजस्थान जयपुर का सबमिशन ये है कॉमरेड कि FCCPA is a platform for pensioners. Comrade Kutty should be requested to take up this matter with the government, with the Health Secretary, and a mobilization by submitting the representation to the Member of Parliament to create another committee, as Comrade Kutty has also suggested that there should be another parliamentary committee or estimate committee on the CGHS to improve the functioning of the CGHS. Those who have retired, doctors retired, paramedical staff, they are not filling up the vacancies for the last many years, causing mental and physical harassment to the pensioners and beneficiaries. This should be taken up at the level of NCCPA. As Comrade Kutty has said that in 1981, before the estimate committee, Bharat Pensioner Samaj, they submitted a memorandum. Why we should not submit a memorandum under the platform of NCCPA, which is the All India representative body of the pensioners?
Okay, is it on?
शर्मा जी ब्रेक हो गया.
Yes, comrade.
शर्मा जी ब्रेक हो गया, आपका म्यूट कर दिया माइक को.
मैंने तो नहीं म्यूट किया.
Comrade, Rajan, I want to speak. Hello.
Hello, शर्मा जी. शर्मा जी, आपकी आवाज नहीं. Have you concluded? आपने आपकी बात हो गई, शर्मा साहब.
Okay, comrade Sharma ji has muted his mic. Anyway, okay. Comrades, because
Comrade,
of the
Comrade.
Yes, comrade, we cannot continue the meeting because of the time constraint. We know very well that Comrade Kutty has elaborately covered the subject.
No.
Yes, he has divided the subject into some parts, namely the CGHS, its origin, and how it has developed into a beautiful system, and what are the drawbacks we are experiencing inside the CGHS system, how the people want to come inside CGHS, after coming into CGHS, how they are complaining. All these issues were elaborately explained by Comrade Kutty. In addition, he has also explained about the need for medical insurance system. We may or may not like it, but the fact is that in the non-CGHS areas, lakhs of employees and pensioners, particularly pensioners, have no means of inpatient treatment. Therefore, as an option, it has to be given to them. This decision was taken by the NCCPA also, because under the leadership of Comrade Vyas, we were always against the medical insurance system. But now, taking the reality into consideration, we have taken that decision. But Comrade Kutty has elaborately covered, and Comrade S.K. Sharma ji has also added certain important information to the CGHS panel, to the CGHS system, how the government has carelessly not cared to improve it. All this information are before us. Many questions have come. Unfortunately, even though we have announced there will be a question and answer session at the end of Comrade Kutty's presentation, because of the time restriction, we cannot take up that issue now. But all your questions are before us. I will suggest with your approval that all these questions are recorded. I will forward all these questions to Comrade Kutty. He will answer them. We will publish them. We will give them publicity in the social media and also in the journal. And also there was an understanding between Comrade Kutty and myself that today's presentation by Comrade K.K.N. Kutty will be given to me in typoscript so that I can publish it in our next Pensioners Post journal also. It will also be published in NCCPA journal and other journals that are being published by our NCCPA affiliates. So that article as a publication will help us understand, because we know that there was some disturbance in between the meeting. However, we have taken precaution. Some disturbances could not be avoided. Therefore, in a printed manner, if the article is published, that will be definitely much more useful to all of us. So I am giving this undertaking that with the help of Comrade Kutty, the article will be published very soon. And I would like to thank many leaders, particularly Comrade K.K.N. Kutty, who has taken pains to prepare in spite of his busy schedule. He has prepared many facts about the CGHS system and presented before that. He has taken a lot of pains. Definitely, we are much thankful to the Secretary General NCCPA and also other leaders. We have got Comrade Ragate President. As usual, he has presided over this meeting ably. And there is Comrade Van Nambudri, the patron of NCCPA. He was present throughout. Comrade Jairaj, General Secretary of AIBDP, has come and gone. Comrade Sharma is present throughout and helped us. Comrade KB Krishna Rao has accepted our invitation and attended, and he was present throughout from Karnataka. Comrade Kera, as the respected leader of Punjab National Bank Pensioners Association, is here, and he has taken all the pains to be present throughout the seminar. And Comrade Pavitra Ranjan Chakravarti and other office bearers, including Comrade Marotkar and other office bearers, Comrade Ishwar Singh Dabas, and many office bearers of different organizations, and many state general secretaries and office bearers of AIPRPA, and many members. They were all present here. In fact, the total attendance has gone beyond 230 at one time, even though now it is 112. There was more than 230. It is an improvement. Definitely, we will try to improve the quality and quantity of the participants. The quality of the program also will be improved in due course. We are all in the learning process. We are improving, and definitely we will try to give very valuable programs in future also. And with these words, I thank all the leaders, and especially Comrade KK Kuti, who has come over and entertained us and given an elaborate presentation on the subject. With these words, I think I can ask the President to conclude the meeting. Thank you, Comrade.
Yes, Comrade. Yes, you conclude it, please.
Okay, can we take permission from all of you that the questions will be answered in due course? And I will also request Comrade Kuti to organize a special meeting on behalf of the NCCPA where we shall discuss these questions and also many other issues raised by Comrade Sharma and other leaders, that we will discuss threadbare and prepare a final document and present it to the government, and we will try to improve upon those things. Can I take it? Can I conclude the meeting with that?
Yes, Comrade. Yes, Comrade.
Yes, Comrade.
Thank you.
Yes, you can conclude.
Thank you,
it.
Comrade.
Thank you, Comrade.
Thanks for all of you.
Thank you, Comrade KR.
Thank you for all.
Thank you, Comrade
KR.
Thank you, Comrade
so
KR.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Priya.
ಯಾಕೋ ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಹೋಯ್ತು. ಏನದು ಆಡಿಯೋ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಏನೇನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಯ್ತು.
ಬರಲ್ಲ.
Thank you, sir.
97.9 volts.